Good evening and welcome to Hey Hey Hitchcock, brought to you by Farm Credit Mid-America, Morton's Horticultural Products, Barton Creek Farm, and Daylily Nursery. At Hey Hey Hitchcock, we'll talk about agriculture, we'll talk about horticulture, we'll talk about aquaculture and floriculture, but that's as close as you're getting me to any kind of culture. But here we are at the Walker Sod Farm with Trent Walker and his family in their beautiful the Walker Barn at Green Acres, that's what it's called. They have a beautiful event center here, and you have a sod farm, and we'll be showing some pictures of the fields and some of the machinery as they cut sod and things like that. But Trent, introduce your family to us.
I'm Trent Walker. This is my wife, Dorinda Walker, my son, Kyler Walker, and my oldest daughter, Olivia Walker.
Okay.
We have another one, Macy, but she's not here.
Okay. Well, sorry we missed Macy, but glad we got all of y'all here. Trent and Dorinda, tell us a little bit about, starting with Trent, about your growing up, about your family.
Been here all my life, 59 years here in Warren County. Lived over on Old Shelbyville Road, grew up over that way, and we bought the farm in '88 and moved out this way.
Okay.
Met her in town in around '84, and we've been together ever since.
Now I was interviewing somebody, and the husband and wife, and they were talking and said it was kind of a sensitive subject because she was actually dating his first cousin when they met, and then they broke up, and then they got together, and said, well, there's still some tender feelings on that. So Dorinda, tell us.
None of that part here.
Okay.
But,
No.
I'm also born and raised here, and I was that generation that went to multiple schools, Bernard for kindergarten, West Elementary, William Biles, Northside, and I graduated from Warren County High School in 1987. I left for a brief moment to, head out to college. But I came back because I was dating a grass farmer, and you can't pack up and move the grass farm. Although I had dreams of, I have an accounting degree and was seeking that, job at the Big Six, or it was the big,
yes,
Big Six then.
Yeah, PricewaterhouseCoopers,
exactly, yes.
Ernst & Young.
And I was a city girl. I consider that. I mean, I was born and raised and grew up in the city, like inside the city limits, but came back here and I guess never gave it a second thought. We moved to the farm when Kyler was 3 months old, so like 95, and we've been here ever since and raised all of our kids here. I wouldn't go back and change a bit of it because I wouldn't leave this farm.
I have heard people say that kids in Warren County spend all of their high school years trying to figure out a way to get out of Warren County.
Exactly.
And then by the time they finish college, they spend the rest of their lives trying to find a way to get back to Warren County.
That was true for Olivia and my other daughter, Kyler. He's pretty much a homebody anyway, and he's always kind of stuck pretty close. But the other two left. This one ended up in Nashville at one point in time. The youngest one spent a lot of time in Kentucky, but they're all back now. So
Yeah.
They try to run away, but
Yeah.
it just beckons them back.
Well, look around. Can you find a more beautiful place anywhere in the world? You might find some place, of course, everybody thinks their own place is beautiful.
Sure.
There are some that are as beautiful, but you won't find anything any prettier than this.
Thank you.
Now we travel. We like to travel and see other, just all corners of the world for the most part. But Trent's good for about 4 or 5 days, and we're ready to come back.
Yeah.
And I think Kyler went to New York. All my kids have at least traveled to New York once, but the first time he went, I remember when we flew back in, he was like, finally, some green grass.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's nothing prettier than just the whole Tennessee landscape in general, I think.
Yeah. So now I knew your dad way back even before he got into the sod business. Tell, as much as you remember, what can you remember about growing up in the sod business and Cliff getting it started?
Well, he started out doing septics and yard work, just seeding and strawing, and then he gradually got into the sod business and got out of the other. We've done the sod for several years, and then we kind of got into the state work and done state work for up until '95.
Okay.
And I told him that we had a couple of monsters, and one of them had to go. So we quit doing the state work, and Kyler was born at the time, and so I told him I started traveling. So
Okay.
we stuck closer to home and started growing a little bit better grass, and just made it work for us.
Now, I remember back in, about 1988, I think, as they were building the 4-lane out, which actually split my parents' farm in two. It came right to, they actually had to move the road about 250, 300 feet because our old farmhouse was built in 1867, right after the Civil War. And structural engineers came out and said if the road was any closer to the house that it would, possibly damage the foundation. So, what was going to be a straight line is straight with a little hip and then out.
Right.
But your dad, Cliff, came to me and said, hey, we're doing this. We got to lay sod on certain places, like down in the middle and around drains and everything, and wanted to know if he could, buy sod off of me. And so we went to a back field, the most level field that I had that was in pasture land at the time. And he said, yeah, this will work. And so he paid us $1,000 an acre, which is what I paid for the farm.
Right.
Just a few years before,
Oh, yeah.
$1,000 an acre for the sod. And then it was a really, really dry year. And we had a dairy farm, had a manure pit. I had a liquid manure tank, 2,600 gallon tank. And it was really dry, and he said, do you think you could pump water out of that pond and spray over what I'm going to cut? And I said, yeah, I can do that. And he said, I'll give you an extra $100 every load that you haul. Man, that was a no-brainer. So he would come out, like I say, 88 was a really dry year. Mm-hmm. He would come out and take some flags and kind of stake off what he thought he was going to be cutting the next day, and I would take the manure tank back into the pond, suck up 2,600 gallons of water, and wet it down good, and so that worked out great for both of us.
Oh yeah.
At that time, was he using the walk behind?
No, we had the tractor mount. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a tractor.
We still have it.
Do you?
Yeah, we do.
We'll talk about that in just a minute. It's time for a commercial break. This is Tim Hitchcock with Hey Hitchcock. Brought to you by Farm Credit Mid-America, Morton's Horticultural Products, Barton Creek Farm, and Daylily Nursery. We're here on the Walker Sod Farm, and we'll be right back.
Welcome to Town Talk with Raven and Rob.
Behind the mic, I am Chad Graves.
Hey Hitchcock.
This is Tennessee True Crime.
Get our toes a-tapping with a song. Makes me want to go down Texas way.
All right, we need to dive into some Main Street Journal news, though, Rob.
Well, let's dive right in. A Florida man.
I think Jerry Lee Lewis was the one that he was late for his own concert.
Was it because of the driver?
I think it was because of what he had in the bottle in his room, probably.
Welcome back to Hey Hitchcock. This is Tim Hitchcock, sponsored by Farm Credit Mid-America, Morton's Horticultural Products, Barton Creek Farm, and Daylily Nursery. We're here at the Walker Sod Farm, and we've been talking a little bit about the background of the Walker family and the sod business. Tell us about the walk-behind sod cutting machine that you started out with.
12-inch Ryan walk-behind sod harvester. It was
so it just cut 12
inches. Yeah, just about like a rototiller.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't any fun.
Hand chop it with a spade.
Yeah, hand chop it with a spade, measure it off, chop it up, roll it up, put it on a pallet. Yeah, it was an all-day ordeal for a tractor trailer load of sod, basically.
So, but you could get a whole tractor trailer load in a day with that?
Pretty much, yeah.
Wow. But that's starting at sun up and quitting at sun down.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All day long.
Now, how many years did you work with that before you got your first tractor pull cutter?
Probably 2 or 3 years.
2 or 3 years.
Yep.
Just trying to figure out, are we going to do, Dad? If we're going to keep doing this, we're going to have to do something better.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Was Cliff? Were you running it most of the time, or was Cliff?
Dad was.
Dad was?
Yeah,
oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I didn't get.
I'm surprised it took 3 years before he got to a tractor. Now,
The story of the tractor mounted when we first got that one was it was a pretty good story too.
Well, let's hear it.
Well, we don't really know how they found us, but Brower Equipment out of Canada, Ontario, Canada, they show up at the door and they have a harvester on the back of the truck.
Oh, wow.
And
some salesman had done his homework.
Yeah, and they said, hey, you know, if you guys will help us unload this and help us set it up, we'll demonstrate it for you.
Yeah.
He said, we're on our way to West Tennessee to deliver this machine, but we'll demonstrate it for you.
Yeah.
So, you know, we fell in there and we helped them and we set the machine up, and I'm right in the middle of all of it. And
And how old are you at this time?
Probably 13.
Probably 13,
Yeah.
okay.
And so we're setting it all up and we drive it up the road. We lived over on O'Shelbyville Road at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And Melvin Poss had just started subdivision up there.
Okay.
And there was a pretty good flat spot up there on the road, and that's where we put it in the ground at and tried it, and worked out. So we go back down and they discuss a few things, and they said, well, if you'll help us tear this thing down and get it back on the truck, we've got to be in West Tennessee in the morning. And,
I can see where this is going.
Dad told him, says, well, guys, he said, my wife just called and said, just hollered out the door there and said supper was ready. He said, I've got to go in there and eat. And he said, I don't know how you're going to get this back on the truck, but he said, the sod harvester's not leaving this house. And they said, well, what are we going to do? He said, I guess you need to call somebody in Canada. He said, you need to use my phone. So, yeah, and we still have it. So,
and there's some poor guy over in West Tennessee going, where the heck is my sod cutter? I need this thing.
That's right. That's exactly right.
And we pulled it out of the shed probably
We used it a couple years ago.
2021 maybe.
Yeah.
Sometime, you know, just post-COVID, but you know.
One of our other harvesters, it broke down, so we broke it out and we went to the field with it.
Yeah.
So
She fired up. And
it still does just as good a job as it did when we bought it.
So how many harvesters do you have right now, and describe them? How wide do they cut? How long do they cut? Do they cut it in flat strips or rolls, or?
We've got
5 harvesters.
5 harvesters.
We've got 6, counting the row harvester.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We've got one row harvester that cuts a 42-inch wide roll.
Ooh, wow.
And then we have our slab units. They're automated units.
Mm-hmm.
Come out of Salt Lake City, Utah.
Oh, really? Okay.
that's the Firefly.
That's Firefly, yes, Firefly automatics. And then we have the original Brower cutter that we bought, and then we have a Kesmek Brower that we had bought in 2008.
Mm-hmm. Now, sod is heavy. You know, a person can't come and just fill their back seat with sod. So, you know.
They can. We all do. I've loaded a couple of pieces of sod into a back seat, minivans, you know. You just
Cadillacs.
loaded in Cadillacs, all kinds of vehicles.
The average person does not understand that.
No.
No.
Now, but you wound up. You wound up. Did you realize when you got into it that you're going to have to start trucking too?
Yeah, we did. You know, that was one thing that he didn't want to do. But
Yeah.
you got a product. Somebody's got to deliver it.
You got to deliver, and it's not like a bumper that goes on a car. Which can sit on a shelf for years and still be in the same shape.
Exactly.
Once this sod is cut, you know, if you cut the sod, put it on a pallet, there's a livability and there's a, you know, when it's still going to look good. How much time do you have from the time it's loaded on the truck till that sod needs to be laid?
Spring and fall, you've got a pretty good little window. You can do 2 or 3 days if it's cool weather.
Okay.
Summertime, when it's heat, you got maybe 12 hours.
You got to get it out the same day.
Yeah.
And I'm going to interject here because I just keep hearing it in my head. My father-in-law was obviously just a very bright man.
Oh, yeah.
When it came to business. He was also a risk taker.
Yeah.
Just a true entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
Trent fell into the business by default, and I don't know that he's ever loved it as much as my father-in-law did, and he probably will admit that. I guess, will you?
Yeah, I'll admit it.
But it's been good to us, and now that the whole family's here, I think it probably means more. But my father-in-law, everybody used to ask, and they still do you guarantee your product? And my father-in-law used to be as quick-witted. He'd say, "Yeah, I'll guarantee it'll die if you don't water it." And that was his line, you know. So.
That, you know, we have people that, you know, most of our stuff is in little 2 1/4 inch or 4 inch containers, you know.
Yeah.
And we will have people that, well, will you guarantee it? And I say, you know, will you guarantee that a dog won't pee on it?
Right. Because you have no control over it.
Yeah.
If it leaves your
That's
field
right.
or leaves
That's
that,
exactly
you know.
right.
What gets me is we will have people that will call up and say, well, you know, my plant died, you know, and we'll look up and they ordered it, you know, 8 months ago. And we said, well, when did you plant it? Said, well, we hadn't planted it yet. It's been sitting in the garage, but it's dead, you know. And they want a full refund and everything. And my reply on them, which if they'll be reasonable, is, you know, if you ordered a pizza and you set it on the counter and you let it sit there for 6 to 9 months and you decided, I want a piece of pizza, and you open that box, would you call up and say, hey, you need to replace this pizza because it is dried out and stale? Right. You know, and we mark on all the boxes, live plants, open immediately. Our viewers and listeners have heard, but we have had we had a person that posted a complaint about our tulip bulbs. Said I sliced them up and fried them in butter, but they were still real bitter. We had that one.
Wow.
We had the live plants. We put a little bamboo stake in there and tie it to it so the plant doesn't shift during shipping and break and everything. And we've had people that have said, well, thank you for the little bamboo plant, but there are no roots or leaves on it. I don't think it's going to live. You know, and you know, it's amusing sometimes the ideas that people get about plants. Now, is most of your sod in the squares or rolls or half and half, or?
We do slabs and then we do the big rolls.
Okay.
We don't do any of the small rolls.
Okay.
We offer slabs in a 16 inch by 24 inch is what we call the small slabs. And then with our new Firefly auto stacks, we can do what we call a super slab, which is 2 foot by 4 foot long.
Okay.
So it's 3 of the little slabs in one.
In one.
A little more struggle per square foot, but it's a whole lot faster to lay.
Right. And now, have y'all gotten into laying sod at all?
These two right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we do installations, and that goes back to the guarantee. You know, we've had people like, well, can you guarantee this sod? I'm like, I'll guarantee it'll be alive. It's on you when I leave here.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
Normally, Livia's HRPRing with the customers, and so.
Because she has to be.
His professionalism, the more the day goes, can get.
Yeah, I'll talk to the customers at the beginning of the job.
Yeah.
You probably don't want me talking to the customer by the end of the day,
After you get
especially in
outside
this
the hot
heat.
sun, you never know.
Yeah.
Oh,
you
yeah.
never know which collar you're going to get. Yeah.
But yeah, we work alongside each
Yeah,
other.
we work good together. So.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
we-
They
we've
balance,
been-
their personalities balance.
You've been back. We've been doing the installs together 4 years.
Yeah, I moved back home, I think, in 2022.
Yeah. So we've been installing together about 4 years.
Now, how much age difference is there between the two of you?
2.5, 3.
Did y'all ever bicker and fuss and fight when you were kids?
Yeah,
time.
you can't have a sibling and say that you didn't. But I'm the middle child, so everybody's always said that I've been the peacemaker or the mediator, and I definitely attest to that. I think even with our younger sister, I'm not the one that's gonna initiate like an argument or I'm usually the one that's like, all right,
Goes into trying to
let's
calm
put
things
this-
down.
Yeah. So I handle him pretty well out on the joint.
And we were just getting phone calls left and right from, and we get even more now, but wanting and quote on install.
Yes.
And years ago, Miles Wilson was probably picking up the majority of those when he had his landscaping business. And so when he kind of phased out, there was nobody. And then Kyler had done a few, but it's hard to work here on the farm all day.
Yeah.
And then go do, either in the afternoon or on the weekends. And then Olivia was coming back to town, and obviously she's young, she's wanting to make extra money, and so they just kind of merged together and started their own little, their own little business, their partnership. And it did work out from a business standpoint, and it's interesting when it's somebody we know, because they talk about the dynamics between the two of them, and we know because, but it's a great little side business, and they've even had to refer out because we get that many calls.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit more in just a minute. We need to take another commercial break. This is Tim Hitchcock with Hey Hey Hitchcock here on the Walker Sod Farm with the Trent Walker family. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Tim Hitchcock with Hey Hey Hitchcock, sponsored by Farm Credit Mid-America, Morton's Horticultural Products, Barton Creek Farm, and Daylily Nursery. We're here with the Walker family at Walker Sod Farm and Walker Barn at Green Acres, if I'm saying that right, and we'll talk more about that later. But before the commercial break, we were talking about y'all's installation side hustle that you've got going on. Now, how far is the farthest you have gone, or how far is the farthest you will go to do installation?
I'm going to say I like to keep it within an hour and a half drive of the house.
Okay.
Any more than that, we get into areas.
We've tested the waters.
Yeah.
We didn't know, but I think Nashville, because I'm young, I don't have the experience that I need sometimes. Hauling a gooseneck trailer on a flatbed, having to back it up in Nashville traffic. I shouldn't be expected to do that sometimes.
But she has to.
Yeah.
Sometimes she's driving the dually.
And he's driving the semi with the sod on it. So we get in these situations, and I'm like, yeah, we can handle it. And then we're there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that was so nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
It was not worth the
Right.
money at the end of it. It was, but
Right.
the intensity that the holding your breath until you get there, and sometimes those long drives. I think any time in that Nashville,
dealing with
Franklin,
the traffic,
Yeah.
is like we went to Franklin one day and did a job, and on the way back, I got a phone call from her, and she's like, "We're never doing this again."
Yeah.
It took us 2.5 hours to get home.
Yeah.
To go, I think it was like 55, 60 miles.
Right.
And in an hour and a half, I can get to Crossville.
Yeah.
Go way farther. So
Yeah.
as far as like distance, we'd probably go farther that way.
You'd go farther east than you would go in the Nashville.
Yeah. Smyrna, Rutherford County.
Yeah.
We'll do some Tullahomas and Smithville every now and then. Cookville occasionally.
They're just kind of scattered out.
There's several landscaping companies in Cookville so they usually end up getting majority of that. But as long as they come get sod from us, we're good with it.
Right.
Overton, the largest job you have done?
Oh no, I did Franklin Road Academy. That was.
Oh, that's right.
That was like.
Because we've done some athletic fields.
Yeah, I've done a couple of athletic fields. We've done some plug-in job. We did I was at Livingston High School. We did their sidelines. So like we'll do plugging and full sod installs with the
Now,
rolls.
explain plugging.
So plugging can only be done with Bermuda.
Okay.
Bermuda is a creeping grass.
Mm-hmm.
So fescue has to be sowed into the ground. It has to grow up, do its whole thing. The Bermuda, what we do with plugging is you stick a pallet on the machine, and our guys are just loading the grass into the machine, and the machine just shreds the grass up into a 2x4 plug, and it just rolls it into the ground. And then as long as you water it, that Bermuda in 60 to 90 days,
Have the ground covered.
closer to 90,
it'll take
have
root.
the ground completely covered.
It's a weed.
And it is, a lot of people look at it like a weed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I personally think it's the grass of the millennials because
Yes.
they don't like to do anything.
Right.
And it doesn't grow during the winter, so you don't have to worry about mowing it during the winter.
Exactly. And it doesn't grow it grows out, but it doesn't grow very tall.
Like Warren County High School, their soccer field, we plugged that
We did.
years ago. I was still in school when we plugged that, but I remember, working that job and everything else. And it's been great for years.
Now, what's the minimum? Let's just say plugging, since we're talking about that. What's the minimum you would do on plugging?
Prefer an acre.
Prefer an
As
acre.
far as area.
Yeah.
A half acre we could do. but you have to use a tractor and everything. So we have to have room.
Room to turn around.
You can't really
Maneuver.
plug a household yard
Yeah.
with the equipment. Could it be done?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just not something that it would be more headache than it's worth. At that point, you might as well just lay it.
Yeah.
You know, kind of one of those situations.
Now, with Bermuda, could you just go in, because it's so aggressive? Could you just go in, mow your yard, spray it with Roundup, and then after a few days, drop the Bermuda right on top and keep it watered well?
We've never done
Not
it that
recommended.
way. I wouldn't recommend it that way because we like to recommend that the ground's prepped. We'd like to at least run a Harley rake and stuff over.
Okay.
Try to get it leveled out and smooth.
Dirt on dirt.
Dirt on dirt. It's
Okay.
the preferred way of laying sod. But now, have we heard of other contractors doing it that way? 100%. 100%. And I mean, I guess it's worked. It's just never been the way that we do.
We wouldn't guarantee that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard to guarantee that one. And as far as spraying it with Roundup, you'd want to give it a couple more than a couple days.
Yeah.
Because there'd still be some residual in the ground.
Yeah.
So, it's going to stunt your Bermuda a little bit.
Right. So now, what's the farthest that you have ever delivered, not installed, but just delivered sod?
We've been down in Georgia.
Okay.
And, up around Kentucky and around in Alabama a little bit.
Now,
We used to run consistently to Knoxville.
Yeah,
and
every
Chattanooga.
morning. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
used to be an everyday thing, was Knoxville.
yeah.
Now, that was back when I was little. I just remember them saying like, "Oh, he'll be back. He was going to Knoxville this morning." Our truck drivers leave out like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning.
How many trucks do you run now?
We have 4. We run 3 pretty hard.
Okay.
And that's what I was going to say. Another Clifford line.
Yeah.
We require 10 pallet minimum.
Yeah.
Because, like as he would have said, we're not in the trucking business.
Oh, yeah.
We're in the sod business.
Yeah.
Or the freight business. But we get a lot of requests, especially in the last 5 or 6 years, for just 1 or 2 pallets, here and there. And
Yeah.
We just don't have the.
Still not 1 or 2, but we can do less than 10 now because we've got a more suitable truck for that.
Okay.
We do now.
We've got
Yeah.
a short straight truck now, so we can accommodate some smaller loads. But if a person calls wanting 1 or 2 pallets delivered, they might as well. They could rent a
Everybody
U-Haul
has a
truck
friend
and
with a
trailer
pickup.
cheaper than we can deliver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, we see in the background, you've harvested this. This over here is still to harvest. Part of this has been harvested. Do you always go back in with the exact same grass that you cut previously?
We do.
You do, okay. Is there ever any need to plant any other kind of crop as like a green manure crop or anything to regenerate the soil? Or?
Well, that's kind of the bare areas that you see here. 2 years ago, it froze out.
Oh,
so
okay.
we cut it late in the season, and it's Bermuda. So,
Okay.
And it froze out, and so let one of the local farmers around here, Martin Daniel, I let him plant some beans on it.
Okay.
And it's just going to build the ground up a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we've been slowly started plugging here in the last few weeks, and we're working our way down the hill. So we've got a few more acres to go.
We
Okay.
have rotated that because this whole field used to be.
Well, it's been years.
It's been years ago,
it's been
but
in Bermuda for several years, but
has.
it used to be in fescue, the whole front, which Dad grew 90% of what we had was fescue.
fescue when he started.
And
And
that's
then-
the law of supply and demand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we started getting calls for Bermuda, and so then we started, and we were selling more Bermuda than we were fescue. Just the seasons have changed. I mean, it's hard to grow fescue.
Yeah.
Especially the old blends that we used to grow years ago, like
Right.
31 with a 10% bluegrass.
It's just
That's not going to make it in these summers that we have.
Yeah.
Just the humidity and the heat, the ground temps, it's hard on it.
Now, are there different varieties of Bermuda that you grow?
yes, we have Tiff Tough, we have Tiff Way 419, and we have some Patriot.
Okay. And just depending on the landscape architect specs, or do you recommend is some for Alabama where it's warmer, where a different one would be for up in Kentucky, or?
They're basically all about the same.
Okay.
They're,
They don't look exactly the same.
They're all like a
when
bunch of
you-
first cousins. They're very, very similar.
9 out of 10 people couldn't tell the difference.
Yeah.
We have Tiff Tough now because there were some HOAs
Specking
Tiff
it.
Tough specific.
requiring that. So,
Okay.
I mean, just to be competitive, but that's a hybrid grass, and it's a royalty. I mean, it's
Yep.
patented.
Oh, you
pay
have to pay a royalty. Yeah, I hate that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we're going to have to take another commercial break. We'll be right back. This is Tim Hitchcock with Hey Hey Hitchcock, sponsored by Farm Credit Mid-America, Morton's Horticultural Products, Barton Creek Farm, and Daylily Nursery. And we'll be right back.
Been turned down for a car loan? Struggling to get approved? Don't give up. Come see the team at Reddick Brown Ford. We believe everyone deserves a second chance. Our financing experts work with all types of credit to help get you behind the wheel fast. Make the short drive down Highway 55 to Reddick Brown Ford and drive home approved.
Good evening and welcome back to Hey Hey Hitchcock, sponsored by Farm Credit Mid-America, Morton's Horticultural Products, Barton Creek Farm, and Daylily Nursery. We're here today on the lovely farm of the Walker family here at Walker Sod Farm. We're in our last segment, so we got some other juicy stories that we were talking about during the commercial break. Trent, you want to fill us in on that?
Yeah, it's been 6 years ago. We thought we had the business and the farm sold.
Oh,
And,
I never knew that.
Yeah. And so, gentleman, we sat down, had a couple set downs, and the last set down, we talked it over, and which before the second one, the girls, they decided that they didn't want me to sell the farm. They said, hey, this is where we grew up at,
Yeah.
And we don't want you to do that. And I said, okay. So I made a phone call and I said, hey, my daughters, they don't want me to sell the farm.
Right.
And so he said, well, I completely understand that. And he said, well, I still want to go, we need to talk about the business. And he said, I'll just lease the farm from you. And I said, okay. So we talked on, and then I come back, and me and Brenda, we went and met with him for the second round, and numbers wasn't quite matching up. So we come back home and we discussed it, and then everybody else, they kind of throwed a wrench in my spokes, and they said, we don't want you to do this.
Yeah.
And I said, well, if you don't want me to do this, I need some help.
Yeah.
So Olivia decides to come back home, and Olivia is now, she runs one of the sod harvesters also, along with Collar. He does the same. And so.
And Macy.
And Macy,
Yeah,
and Macy, she comes, she'll mow, she'll run a forklift.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got to be in air conditioning. She's not much on the heat.
That's kind of like I was kind of in your shape with my dad. I was out in college, and we had 250 acres, and he was working a job in town at the block plant and taking up hay. We had a couple of hundred head of beef cattle, and he called me up at college one Sunday morning and said, look, you're either going to have to come home or I'm selling the farm. I can't do this anymore. So I just, quit school then, never did graduate, but came home and don't regret it a bit. Never have regretted it.
Well, that's kind of where Trent was. His dad had passed away, and so, he had always been, Clifford always managed everything.
Yeah.
Trent was an employee.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, he's helping take care of his dad while he was sick and run a business, and it was a lot, and his knees were broken, and that was a lot of it. So, I mean, by the end of the day, he was broke down.
Yeah.
And the approach and the numbers sounded really good, but I told you I have the accounting background, and I'm just a numbers person by nature. And when I sat in on the meeting, and that seemed to be what everybody was doing. They were selling out to corporate,
right?
Just selling out, and the numbers do sound good, and I'm a worker. I just don't like the word retire.
You gotta be doing something.
I get bored every 8 to 10 years, so do something different. And so the kids are in my ear, and I'm like, tell your dad, Olivia goes, I was coming back to that farm. I'm like, tell your dad, and Collar's going to go with whatever. I'm like, well, what are you going to do? Trent goes, I don't know.
Yeah.
I might not do anything.
Yeah.
I might fish, and I'm like, ooh, that's not the right answer. Don't let the old man creep in.
Yeah.
Who said that? And so we had a family meeting. We're all about democracy around here. We've been doing it since the kids were small, and you get the opportunity to swap a chore.
Yeah.
If somebody's willing, and so we sat down at the meeting, on my back porch, everybody around the table, and And we just took a vote. We just laid everything out there. We listened, and Trent said, I can't continue to do this. I physically just can't do all of this. You know, at that point in time, I wasn't as much hands-on as I probably am now, behind the scenes with, you know, bonuses and things like that. But we had employee turnovers, you know, and that was a lot of our problems.
Yeah.
People didn't show up on Monday, or they'd leave early on Friday, and then you only have 3 full work days. I mean, it's just... there was a lot of things going on, and so we took a vote, and literally Kyler was the last. He was trying to stay neutral, but either way Trent was outvoted to keep and not sell. And you know, when it came down to it, they were talking about operating 7 days a week, and then when they were talking about leasing our land, I'm like, we're living in the middle of somebody else's operation. It just did not sound appealing. And I told Trent, when they come and take your sign down that's got your name on it, your dad's name on it, and all the blood, sweat, and tears. Clifford Walker was an amputee, you know, and had been, you know, I mean, literally was put back together from a really bad car wreck. He worked so hard his whole life. And so Trent goes, well, I'm going to have some help. So at that point, we're behind the scenes going, I'm like, Macy's coming home. Dad, do you need me to do anything? Yeah, you need to go vacuum the grass clippings, you know, that's what we have to do. You know, and of course, Kyler was already working at the farm, and then Livia's leaving a job, you know, in Nashville, in the Franklin area, and she comes back, and it just worked, and everybody just kind of dove in, and we just took pride in the family business at that point. And when we go to conferences, we went to a conference in Texas. We were probably one of 3 people there out of all of the sod farms from all over the United States that was still family owned. And at that moment, Livia has a marketing background, and I do. I have a minor in that, and I just love marketing, and that's what I taught when I taught at Cannon County High School. But we talked about it, and we're like, you know what? That's going to be our niche. I mean, individuals still need grass. I mean, you know, by the pallet, by the piece, by the truckload. That's how we decided that we would sell it, you know, and that's kind of where we are now. And Trent got his knees replaced, and that made a world of difference.
And that's talking about family owned. You know, those sod farm owners don't get out here and do anything. They don't know how to run their equipment. He's out here with us every day. If we need him in a sod cutter, he's in a sod cutter. We had some guys come pick up some equipment from another sod farm, and they were talking to him because he ripped his hoodie or something. He's like, oh, your boss will have to get you a new jacket. And he's like, yeah, I guess I have to get myself a new one. And they're like, oh, you're the owner? He's like, yeah. And they're like, oh, our boss would never. You know? So I take pride knowing that my dad's out here with us, you know.
Well, you're not going to let a 50-something-year-old
No, I'm not going to. No, I'm not.
Well, we are so glad that y'all wound up keeping the farm and staying together. And we haven't even had time to talk about this beautiful facility you've got here. We may have to come out and do another show just on your event center here. But wanted to give you, and I'm not even going to hand it to Trent. I'll give you that's one of our waxed amaryllis bulbs that we do at the nursery.
I haven't, but I may just take this home with me.
Well, thank you so much for allowing us to come out, and this is a beautiful place, and we're just so glad that you're still here in Warren County and that your family is all involved. This is Tim Hitchcock with Hey Hey Hitchcock, sponsored by Farm Credit Mid-America, Morton's Horticultural Products, Barton Creek Farm, and Daylily Nursery. We'll see you next week.